The Confederated tribes of Warm Springs consists of three bands, the Warm Springs, Wasco, and Paiute tribes. They were established on the Warm Springs Indian Reservation with the signing of the Treaty of 1855. But before that, we lived as many different bands along the Columbia River and throughout the Pacific Northwest. We moved with the seasons, gathering roots, berries, hunting deer, elk, and other small game, fishing for salmon, eels, and other freshwater fish, and trading at Celilo Falls, practicing our traditional forms of religion and ways of life, living off what the earth provided and being thankful for every new day.
What I know about the treaty is that it was signed in June of 1855, and we had ceded 10 million acres to the United States government. And what the treaty has within it is that we've pretty much granted the United States the right to develop and use our ancestral territories.
Water rights, hunting rights, fishing rights, self-governing, and what other kind of rights are there? Rights like human rights, and we have our own court system, and our own economic base.
Well, sovereignty is, I think, the main thing that we have today that's very different from, I think, other citizens of this area. Oregon is called now. And we have what's called inherent sovereignty, is that even before there was an Oregon or a United States, we were living on these lands, and Creator gave us these lands. And all of those rights that we had before, we brought over through the treaty, transaction of the treaty, and all those that we didn't give up, we kept. And so unless under negotiated circumstances, changes of that had to be made with both parties, and that's what the treaty is all about. And occasionally Congress takes the big bite out of our rights here and there with something called plenary rights. So sovereignty is just our ability to live our life in the Indian way, the way that I think our treaty signer relatives wanted us.
I think the most important treaty rights are probably the rights that have to do with fishing, wildlife, hunting, all that stuff, about basically keeping our ties to the land and having the ability to do cultural things and traditional things on the land of the reservation. I mean, unfortunately, these tribes didn't just stay on the land that they have now. A long time ago, they were on a really wide region of land that they would travel on during the different seasons, depending on what they were needing that season. So, I mean, it's good and bad that we do have rights to this land. I think another really, really important thing that a lot of people don't understand is the actual sovereignty of a treaty, that we have the right to self-govern in a lot of ways that gives us a lot of freedoms. I mean, there's a whole complex identity of a nation within a nation, or a fourth world, which a lot of people don't really understand the complexities of that, of being a culture within a bigger culture, trying to, basically control you, and it does in a lot of subliminal ways. So I think for the treaty, those are the two most important rights, at least to me.
There are 9 articles of the treaty with the tribes of Middle Oregon, agreed to on June 25, 1855, each of which lay out in specific detail the laws and ways of the Confederated tribes of Warm Springs, everything from ceded lands and leaderships to roads and relations. And just like the U.S. Constitution, the Treaty of 1855 can be considered the single most important document for tribal people. This is why it is important to protect the treaty and preserve it for all time.